All right, I'm gonna call a meeting to order. Start with the pledge.
All right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I almost stepped on it. But I saw it.
God can drive me home.
Start with the June 23rd minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 23rd regular meeting minutes.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any Any opposed? I'm going to abstain. And, okay, the select board will meet on the following dates at 5 PM, Monday, July 28th, Monday, August 11th, and Monday, August 25th. Any citizens wishing to be listed on the select board's agenda should notify town hall before noon the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. All meetings held upstairs here in town hall and are held by Zoom. The Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouthnh.gov. With that, I'll hand it to Scott for the town manager's report.
Thank you, Zach. Starting off, it's been a busy couple weeks, but starting off, Plymouth State University updates. Just Tyler and I met on Monday, June 23rd. We discussed the PSU fall activities and the move-in date scheduled for August 22nd and 23rd. And tonight, we will continue discussions with President Burks and Vice President Claybomb with regards to the Life Safety Services Agreement. IT update. The IT tech upgrades have started as outlined in the IT RFQ tech upgrades document presented to the Select Board on June 23rd. We are in hopes that the completion of both Phase 1 and Phase 2 will be completed within 120 days. Recycling Center, glass removal. The glass and metal removal started today, July 14th at the Recycling Center. This hopefully is the last of the removal of those debris piles, and the tentative schedule has it being completed by the end of the week. I received a few questions with regards to the Loon Lake Road culverts, so I figured I'd provide a summary of how we got there, where the money came from, because some people were asking once they saw the actual construction that started. So the project scope for the Loon Lake Road culvert, the project involves replacing an existing undersized and in poor condition culvert with a new 16-foot by 6-foot precast concrete box culvert. The goal is to improve hydraulic capacity, geomorphic compatibility, and enhance aquatic organism passage. Construction started on June 23rd. The detour was created and in place on June 23rd. It is in use. The detour will create a second means of egress for the residents of Loon Lake Road, Chason Road, and Slate Lane if flooding occurs on Fairgrounds Road. Detour signs have been in place, which is really unique because the public safety importance piece of this is the culvert is specifically noted in the town's 2021 hazard mitigation plan in the 2018 master plan as being the utmost public safety importance due to past flooding events that have overtopped the culvert, resulting in multi-day road closure and public safety emergencies. Back in 2011, the road was not accessible for 5 days. The contractor is MC Build LLC Construction. They've done a few projects in Plymouth, being the Bell Road culvert was the last project that they completed. Funding, the project is supported by unanticipated funds from the State of New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services through the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, with a total grant amount of $402,083. This additional funding allowed the construction phase to be added to the project scope, which originally focused on design and permitting. I was out there this morning. They are in hopes that the project will close out on July 25th and the road will be reopened. Welfare report for June 2025. During the month of April, Mary Ann had 35 interactions, consultations with individuals seeking assistance. The cases range from assistance with adult and elderly services, rent, homelessness, fuel assistance, electricity, and housing. The request for assistance has slowed down during the month of June. Mary Ann consistently demonstrates a deep understanding of the needs of our community, and her ability to navigate complex situations is exceptional. Update on the Highland Street project for 2026. As a summary of progress update, we continue to work with HEB, the town engineering firm, and New Hampshire DOT on the scope and services updated in regards to the intersection of Highland Street, Reservoir Road, and Old War Bridge Road with regards to easements for the roundabout. The town portion of the construction is planned for the summer of 2026. I was at a pre-construction meeting with Plymouth Village Water and Sewer based on their projects on Highland Street, and they will be getting on Highland Street in late of summer of 2025 and should not impede the traffic to the school after school opens.
When it does start, the roundabout, that will just take place during the summer,
That is correct.
and it'll be completed by the time.
That is
Gotcha,
correct.
thank you.
Russell Street construction update. I attended a pre-construction meeting with Plymouth Village Water Sewer, Steve St. Pierre and Grenice Construction, who is the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer contractor. The project from Pleasant Street to Highland Street is anticipated to kick off the third week of July, with hopes of being completed by the end of August. This is a water, sewer, and drainage project. Lyman Construction was awarded the town's portion of the contract for the drainage. Economic development update. Call for volunteers for the Plymouth Economic Development Committee was noticed on Wednesday, July 2nd, to entice community members to consider volunteering for the Economic Development Committee. Letters of interest can be emailed to planning@plymouthnh.gov or delivered to Town Hall by 4:30 on Wednesday, July 23rd. The notice outlines the Economic Development Committee will play a vital role in shaping the economic landscape of Plymouth. The committee will work collaboratively to identify opportunities, address challenges, and recommend strategies that foster sustainable economic growth, enhance our quality of life, and strengthen our vibrant community. I know we have received a few letters of interest as of today. Tax lien update. Based on our previous discussions, notices were sent out to properties identified to be in tax lien, the 2021 tax lien. As of Friday, July 11th, we have only heard from 2 property owners. The final day for payment of the liens is prior to going to tax deed is Tuesday, August 19th, at which time we will commence the tax deed process. We have had initial meetings with Rick Sager, who is the owner of New Hampshire Tax Deed and Property Auctions, and a licensed New Hampshire auctioneer and attorney. Rick has coordinated numerous auctions of tax-acquired properties for New Hampshire towns and cities, and assisted Plymouth with the property auction on Fairgrounds Road. As of Tuesday, July 8th, 93% of the July tax bills have been paid, which puts us a little bit above where we were with the December tax bills. Additional items, July Town Manager's message is available on the town website. Skateboard park update, construction started this week. Actually, that would have been last week. Thank you to the many businesses that have been very generous in donating food and lodging for the construction crew. The 2025-2026 Select Board strategic priorities. I've been updating the strategic priorities and changed the format of them a little bit to include a core statement, the rationale behind the statement, goals and key action items, and a summary for each one of the strategic priorities. My plan is to send them out electronically to you over the next couple of weeks to start review so we can have a further discussion in August. Airport well, the new well has been installed and is operational. Thank you to Colin McIver, the airport manager, for his oversight on this project. An additional item that didn't make my report, but Chief Pierce and I have been working diligently with the towns of Warren and Wentworth with regards to their ambulance service going out of business effective last Wednesday. Both Warren, Wentworth, and Plymouth are part of the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid System, of which requires us to provide emergency service to them in the interim. Kevin and I have a meeting with the 2 boards tomorrow morning to discuss further options or possibilities with regards to contracting with those communities, but at this point in time, we hope to end the emergency response through mutual aid as soon as we can, so we can start billing both of the communities for the service we provide. So I'll have more of an update after tomorrow, and I can send that out in an email so you know where we stand at that point. But Kevin has been very diligent in providing the service. I think we've transported 5 or 6 patients, Kevin, since Wednesday from either Warren or Wentworth. And I mean, the turnaround time is a little extended, and we have come up with a cost figure that is a little more than we charge our other contracted towns based on the distance, the time, and the backfill for the service that we provide. In closing, I encourage all residents to stay informed about happenings by visiting our website, subscribing to the town newsletter, following our social media channels, Town of Plymouth Facebook page, and attending select board meetings in person, PBTV access, or through our Zoom link. Meetings are held on the second and fourth Monday evenings at 5 p.m. in Town Hall at 6 Post Office Square. And as always, I'm available for questions, concerns, or comments. My door is always open. My phone always rings, so please never hesitate to call.
2 quick questions.
Sure.
Do we anticipate that we'll have enough budget to cover the budget for the ambulance services to cover the, even if we're getting revenue, we need to have budget to cover the additional services, or do we anticipate that that'll be fully covered within our existing coverage without having to add shifts or
It'll be
or
fully
staff?
covered within our existing coverage.
So really no impact to budgets, we'll just be busier more time.
At
more
this
than-
time, we don't believe there will be. I
Okay.
mean, it's hard to estimate because this is new territory for
Yeah.
all communities,
Right.
but I think we should be okay.
What's our furthest, I mean, I know we are in agreement to provide mutual aid to them already, but I mean, to the other communities that we respond to regularly, what's the farthest our ambulances typically go?
Probably the east side of Holderness. Heading
Do we
towards
provide service to
Meredith.
Waterville or?
No, we do mutual aid to Waterville Valley during ski season. That's not uncommon. But
Yeah.
for our routine service, for contracts, East Holderness, as Scott was saying, and that's probably, it can be 30 minutes out there. So, and that's very much the same with Warren. I mean, as we know, you get really deep into Warren, which I haven't been, but I've been told it can be upwards of 40. But we can only do so much.
I was gonna say, I mean, there's probably limited cell service in some of those areas as well. I mean,
Oh,
is navigation a challenge?
It's like third world out there, yeah. It gets brutal.
Okay.
I mean, it is no man's land
Yeah.
in certain areas out there. But for example, Saturday, the ambulance responded to an ATV accident, which was on the most westerly side of Warren. And it was from time of the tone to the time they signed off at the hospital, 48 minutes. So not horrible,
No.
but
I'm
it's
sure.
probably 10 or 15 minutes more than going to East Holderness, out on East Holderness Road, McCrillis Hill Road, out in that area.
Okay. Second question is, do we know how the water quality for the airport well turned out? It's always a variable. You never know until you drill
The
it.
water quality tested very high, and it's 2 gallons per minute.
So not a lot of water, but
No.
it's not a lot of
Plenty,
demand
yeah.
out there either. We don't
Right.
have, we're not planning an irrigation system for the airport or anything.
Right, I think it will service the building with regards to a water supply and
Thank you.
the facility.
Excellent.
Any other questions?
All good. Thanks, Scott. We have some new purchase orders. The first one from Jesse, from Ethan, for a purchase to Ethan Folk. And Scott, one of you want to speak to this?
Yep, so last year, when Jesse was really into rolling through with facility managers and evaluating our buildings, it came to notice the brickwork on Town Hall from all sides. So Jesse reached out, and we only had one vendor respond back, and that's Ethan Folk from Ridgestone Construction. He actually came out, he did a full walk around with Jesse, he put the numbers together. These are the numbers that we did include in the 25-26 CIP. which were approved last year. Unfortunately, there is nobody else in the area that has any interest or has the expertise of working on historic buildings with regards to brick. So I would ask that we approve this purchase order and we waive the procurement policy of seeking 3 bids, as we did attempt on several occasions to get other contractors to bid, but they just didn't have the specialty of handling this type of work.
I think the best thing we can do for historic buildings is preserve them, and I support this work. Are you ready for a motion? I'll move that, given the uniquely qualified abilities of this contractor, that we waive our procurement process and approve the $30,500 purchase order as proposed.
Second that.
Have we worked with this gentleman before? Has he worked on the building?
He's never worked on our buildings, but he's worked on several historic buildings around the state.
Okay. And we've spoken to those?
Yes, we have.
Thank you.
Just quick point of order. Jason, are you alone in the room that you're in?
Yes, I am.
Nobody else is with you?
No one else is with me.
All right, thank you. And you are unable to come to town hall this evening for reasons?
As I am in the state of Arizona, that is correct.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Send it that way. All right, next up, we have a purchase order from the Highway Department for GMI asphalt for Old Ward Bridge Road.
So this purchase order is the final phase of the paving for 24-25 and 25-26. This is all part of the roadway construction priority list as we work through that. They're actually, with Old Ward Bridge Road, we're working in collaboration with Plymouth Regional Schools. Their portion of the road to be paved is roughly $23,000. They will be paying for that separately. So our purchase order, and we did have 4 quotes. We had quotes from R&D Paving, Porter Paving, Hudson Paving, and GMI. And GMI came in the low bidder. So it's my recommendation we move forward with the paving of Old Ward Bridge Road to include the roadway down to the school-owned portion of the roadway, as well as the 5-foot wide sidewalk down through Old Ward Bridge Road. And then Loon Lake Road is the paving prior to the culvert and the paving after the culvert out to the dirt road section, which is in much disrepair. So I would ask that you approve the purchase order for $121,970, and the funds are budgeted for the 25-26 budget.
Make a motion to approve the paving project in the sum of $121,970 and awarded to GMI Asphalt for the pavement as described on Old Ward Bridge Road and Loon Lake Road.
Second.
Scott, will the school be paying for the 23,000 that they'll owe us?
They will pay directly to GMI Asphalt at the same time that we make payment after the work is completed.
Okay, so it's just our portion is 49 and then add on
Yes.
top, gotcha, okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yes.
And I will say that that road is definitely in need. It is probably the busiest road in Plymouth.
Yes, it is.
Certainly one of them. We got a motion and a second on that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sorry, Jason. Any opposed? Okay, and then another bit of street work. We've got another highway department invoice to KV Partners.
So this is, again, working off of our roadway construction priority list for full reconstruction of Parker Street. One thing we found with Parker Street is that Parker Street is very heavily used as a bypass for those coming from Langdon Street, coming down off Texas Hill, coming down off Thurlow Street, going to Route 3 South versus going down to Warren Street and going south. The road is in terrible shape. We had some substantial washouts with the last storms that occurred, but the drainage is just not functional. This is something that had been talked about for many years. It is the number one priority for full road construction on the roadway construction priority list. We currently do have a professional service agreement with Mike Vignali, KV Partners. It's been in place since 2008, and it's used by the planning board for some of the things that they oversee and ask Mike to go look at, but also for construction services. What I have found is, based on what Mike does for us and the time that's involved, and talking to DRA, Department of Revenue Administration, construction services for consulting range anywhere from $175 to $200 an hour. In 2008, Mike was charging us $95 an hour. In 2025, he's charging us $105 an hour. So substantially lower than trying to hire an additional firm to come in and price out the project for us. So it would, and Mike has done several projects for us. He did the Loon Lake Road Culvert project, which is being completed today. He's done the Bell Road project, and he also has engineered Emerson Street and Russell Street for the town. So it would be my recommendation to move forward with KV Partners, Mike Vignali, for a price of $28,700 to engineer the reconstruction of Parker Street from Thurlow Street down to US Route 3.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the Parker Street preliminary and final design for the sum of $28,700 to KV Partners.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Probably outside of the scope, but there's nothing we can do about the actual intersection of Parker Street and Route 3, is there?
Hopefully, it will be widened in talking to Mike Vignali,
Okay, so there could be something just
could be.
slightly at that end that we could do.
especially for the north side of the intersection.
Exactly what my thinking is, yeah.
Yeah,
Because that is,
really hard.
I would say, other than Smith Bridge Road, feels like the most dangerous intersection in town. I don't know if it plays out that way in the reality, but it's a little sketchy.
I would agree, even though the accidents don't occur there, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of near misses that occur.
Yeah.
People going too fast on Route 3, and you don't have a lot of warning when you're
I
coming out.
believe
Or when you're going into it either. because
current
of that
road
sideline.
design standards require that skewed intersections like that all be oriented to 90-degree intersections. I'm not sure how they'd do that there without significant blasting. So
I think the only other way would maybe be to go further south and then kind of tip in with that intersection or something. But
either way, there's a lot of work involved in potential blasting. It's, I mean, I don't know if there's anything.
I mean, in 2020, we seriously considered closing that road as a board
Really?
because we were concerned enough about that intersection, and we were like, well, there's technically no reason you have to go
The other
in
thing
that end of
thing
it,
that
but
could
we
be
chose not to.
done is that the lower speed limit could be extended further south on Route 3 past that intersection, so that traffic isn't traveling quite as fast south on Route 3 when they go by there.
my guess is without the accident records, the DOT would be pretty hesitant to do that.
Here's
Well,
a
we
question.
definitely can address that and have a conversation with Mike about that with New
Yeah.
Hampshire DOT.
He would review and make a recommendation around that
Right.
as part of this design.
Is there any signage that says blind entry
Line
coming?
intersection.
Yeah, there is.
I don't remember because I just,
It's
know
You
it's
just
there.
know it's coming up, yeah.
because I've sat down there and watched the traffic since this has come about, And I can tell you on the average morning, within a half-hour period of time, there's 25 cars that are coming off Parker Street. 90% of them just make a go for it, going Route 3 South.
Cross their fingers and go.
Really, it is. So
Like,
hopefully,
don't even slow down?
no.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Come down the hill and roll the dice. Well, I mean, honestly, maybe that's less risky than coming to a complete stop and then trying to come up to speed with somebody coming up
Because you're
behind you.
trying
Who
to
knows?
left, right,
Yeah.
and try to go. I mean,
Is there a
But-
mirror there?
Tricky either way.
There
There
is
is a
across
mirror
the
there.
street.
Yeah, there is a mirror.
but
Anyway, as Mike's looking at it, if there are any opportunities to improve sight lines, shift this way, like, I don't know.
absolutely.
It's one of those things that always, certainly as I was teaching both my kids to drive, I was like, this is one of the most dangerous intersections in town. You need to think about it every time you use it or interact with it.
That's one of those places where have your right foot is your friend. If you've come to a stop, once you verify that it's clear, you need to go.
You gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go.
Right.
Yep. Anyway, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That takes us to Plymouth State University and discussion of the annual LSSA funding to the town of Plymouth. President Burks, do you want to join us in some capacity here?
Thanks for inviting us.
This is Graham Burtis. Graham is a senior at Plymouth Regional High School, and he's interning with us for the summer.
Where did I see you before? Because
Oh, boy.
Maybe here.
yeah, it could be. Okay.
Um,
Maybe that was
New
it.
Hampshire Music Festival.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was just there this week. Maybe that was it. Huh. Okay, pleasure meeting you.
So
You wanna kick us off?
we are
Thank you.
back to the table for further discussions on the LSSA. And the last time that you and Jess were here, we were discussing the LSSA. We were discussing that you didn't know what the state budget was going to look like and what was going to happen with that. So we were supposed to meet back on June 9th, I think it was, but there was no outcome at the state budget at that time. So the state budget has been settled, and I guess the board and I would like to hear where the university is with regards to budgeting and with regards to the LSSA and the fees that have traditionally been paid.
In shock. I don't even know how far back you have to go to find the level of funding that they've projected for the next 2 years. Next year, they're down to 77 million, which is, they got 87 for this and then 77. So I would guess somewhere around the 2000, early 2000, maybe, I don't know. So it wasn't the absolute worst, since there was also a proposal in the House to go to 66 million, but it's pretty bad. It puts us, we were the lowest in the country in funding before, and now we're really the lowest.
We triple it now and still be last?
We might be able to, I'll tell you. We could at least double it and not even get over this, maybe the very bottom of what's going on. So that's difficult. So we're looking at the whole university. We're looking at the programs we have, the faculty we have, the staff, the different positions. I think we're going to have to reconfigure ourselves. It looks like at this point we're going to focus on 6 schools, from the integrated liberal arts through to the health areas, which seem to be doing very well. The business schools doing well. Education's doing pretty well. The pure sciences and the liberal arts are where we struggle the most. So we're looking now to how we reconfigure ourselves. We're looking at how we reconfigure Gen Ed. We want to make sure that we're able to cover the programs we have, but at the same time rethinking our Gen Ed into pathways. So I had talks with the faculty leaders and then the staff last week. We went over what it looks like into the future. We've tried to come up with a plan which I think, builds on our strengths. We've got the 596 credit or 3-year degrees coming online, the cybersecurity, the robotics, the small business degree, administration degree, the police studies, and I'm forgetting the last one for some reason. I can't remember why. But anyway, 5, I think, good areas. We didn't have time to really market them this year, but we've still got a lot of interest, particularly for the business side. We're looking at the pathways and the creating what we call pathways that you can get certificates on, so you could build stackable certificates. We're trying to make it so that the education is more applied, and also the education is such that people that have various interests can come and take courses, but stack them together to get a degree. So we're trying a lot of different things that we've been building over the years. The cluster model works very well with this. In fact, the 4th tool of clusters was Theme Gen Ed, where we put Gen Ed together to create skills. So I'm excited about some of the things we're doing in the future. I'm disappointed at the funding levels that we've got. So it'll be some really tight years. I think there's discussion going on about what we do as a system going forward. Whether there's further consolidation in the system, as you probably read, Kathy will now be executive chancellor for the system and the president, so I report to her. That's a 2-year limited engagement while I think the system goes through and discusses how to move next. I think we're thinking that hopefully this is the pendulum swinging all the way over, as Tracy was pointing out to me. The Department of Education for the federal side is being cut significantly. There's been grants that have been cut, grants not awarded. We were fortunate on the TRIO program that we got another year's funding for that, so that's good, because that supports a lot of students that are first generation and are also Pell eligible. So it could be worse, but it's like everything happening at once. So financially, this year we might just break even. It's a question of that. Next year we've got looks like $11 million loss, but I think we reduced it to 3 or 2, and then they want us to get to a break even, so we're trying to do that, but it's going to take a lot to do that. I don't know how we're going to pull it all off. So, but we've got a plan. We've got, I think, good objectives, but there are certainly challenges, and it's pretty much all of higher ed, but particularly New Hampshire. So we find the competition with other states to be pretty significant. A lot of states are providing free education or with your make less than 120,000, I think, for Bridgewater, which is one of our main competitors, you get free education. So there's a lot of issues floating around. We're surrounded by states that our demographics are declining, but in which their support for their universities is growing. So it's not the best environment for higher ed that I've seen. I think we still got a really cutting edge education. I think we're leaders in many areas, so I think that's good. Some of our key programs are nationally successful. I was just reading today that we got 100% pass on our nursing students that come in. We were rated #1 in the state last year. So a lot of good things, but a lot of challenges financially. So we looked through the LSSA before we came in. Some of the suggestions you made, which I think were good ones. I think breaking it down to categories is smart. Whether we can come up with that is another matter, and how we would talk about it. But I think probably the next step is to sit down and sort of work through that and come up with something as far as we can go forward. And in the meantime, work out some kind of a, I guess, moving on from where we were before, because I think the contract expired in June 30th.
We had an
So-
extension for this year, I think.
Yeah. So, but I think working through the each of the points you bring up is a good one, and seeing what we can come up with. I mean, we're just starting to get to the point to analyze what the impact of the state budget is. We don't know what the full impact's going to be yet, and what the trustees want to do. I think that's why there's some discussion about consolidation across the system as to what happens next. So that's the story.
Zach, how would you like to move forward with the talks with regards to the dollars that we receive from the university, in having that conversation based on what we've heard tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like from your end, you don't know a lot. I mean, you know that there's problems with the budget, but not what's viable.
Right. We're just starting to work.
You don't
through
have
that.
any sort of counter proposal for us from what we've suggested?
No, not yet. The results from the state just came in at the end of last month, and then we had the board meeting, and the whole system's trying to digest what's coming and what the allocations would be for each of the campuses. So
When do you think you'd have an idea of?
well, we got a President's Council meeting Thursday. When do you think all the guts of the financial plan will be?
So we're still closing out this fiscal year, so I would say by the middle of August, we should have everything, because they gotta talk at the President's Council, and then we'll get the initiative through the Vice Chancellor's office on what our budgets need to be and where we need to hit. So we're still working through that, so I'd say middle of August would be my best guess by the time we close.
So should we schedule another meeting for the fourth Monday in August to further our conversations and hope for a counter proposal, or at least have a conversation about the funds that are available and how they can be?
Scott, the fourth Monday in August just happens to be the first day of class. That may be a challenge for them.
28th, is it?
Yeah, well, that's right there, that week.
So we're talking probably the second Monday in September.
Second Monday in September?
That would be fine.
Okay.
That'd be good. We'll try to go through some of it. We'll know, by then we'll know pretty well our picture for the budget. We'll know the number of students that are coming. You never really know until 30 days after the start of class, but we'll have a pretty good picture on who shows up for class, and we'll know what our budget's going to look like. So that makes a lot of sense. And then we can talk to you about what we've got and what we can do. So.
I will.
Scott, I'm sorry, go ahead, Marianne.
I'm just curious what enrollment looks like for this coming.
Right now, enrollment is going down, but not because the class size is going down. It looks like enrollment for next year will be at the same as this year. This wasn't a particularly good year, though, so we're slightly ahead in graduate, slightly ahead in undergraduate. I mean, a handful of students. We did better than the rest of the system in holding our own, so to speak, but still, what's happening is we've got larger classes that have graduated or are graduating. We had a very large class, this last one, that graduated. So although the enrollment incoming classes are stabilizing, the fact that the larger classes are graduating makes it so that our enrollment is technically going down each year. So.
Just to add to that, I would say our big thing that Don talked about, like Massachusetts is giving a discount basically free tuition if you're 120,000 or below with their initiative. So what we saw this year in the budget, what's really hurting us is we're $3 million less because the demographics have changed from in-state, which is good for the state, but the out-of-state is where we make more money, so we're seeing that switch too with the demographic.
So even though the enrollment may be the same, the in-state
dollars
ones
are smaller.
Mix is
Dollars are
different,
different, yeah.
Right. So,
So what I'll do is I'll send an invite to Nicole to get it
Great.
on your calendars, and we'll plan for the second Monday in September. I don't have that date in front of me.
that
but-
sounds good. And if you want, we can have some, we can talk to you about where things are
Sure.
beforehand. And so we got a good picture. Thanks. So.
Where does this leave us in the interim? You know, will be 2.5 months into having no agreement in place.
And when is the first payment typically invoiced or
I don't
received?
remember if we usually do it July or the end of the quarter for September. I think it was
Usually we
July.
put it in as soon as, like today is our last day to do the entries for fiscal year end, and then we usually start putting it in today for July. So we usually get it to you by the middle of August,
Yeah.
because they do process it in like 30 days. We enter it in, and then it comes centrally back down to you guys.
At this time with cash flow, I don't see a problem waiting a couple more months. If it changes and goes down significantly, then we may need to talk about that a little bit more in the future.
I think in the interim, we're all set, but obviously we book a certain amount of revenue that comes from Plymouth State University, and if that, like Ann said, becomes significantly lower, we'll have to have a further conversation based on that.
Right. We could be in a situation where we're talking to either police or fire about eliminating positions because we don't have the money.
Or when you set your tax rate, October, beginning of November.
Pushing it onto the
You
taxpayer.
need to have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Security,
other
that
benefit is that last year, throughout the year, based on the number of police officers that the university had, we did invoice an additional $107,000, which has
For
been
detail
paid
work.
for police details. And my understanding, talking to Steve, that still is going to continue, even though you've hired an additional police officer. There's going to be 5 or 6 shifts a week that will need to be covered. That detail will be paid as well.
And that's just for the detail, that's not for any of the special events or any of the special
Correct.
activities, because Steve and I had that conversation today.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us. I wish we'd had better news, but
We wish you did too.
We all wish you had better news.
It's our community as much as anything.
yeah,
so
no,
we're-
I hear you. No, and we
concerned.
appreciate the support. We really do.
We'll stay in touch, and I'll send out a meeting invite, and we can continue communicating up until that meeting in September.
That sounds great.
Okay?
Thanks a lot.
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you both. Okay, review and approve the warrant for unlicensed dogs. Is there anything new about this?
So, this is the warrant that goes to your, police department, signed by the selectmen, to allow them to levy a $30 per dog fine. And you can see that there is a list of individuals on the last 1 or 2 pages. If the dogs are not registered, and still live here in Plymouth, they can be seized as well. So, after the board signs this, there is a $30 charge in addition to the registration fee and the $1 a month fee, to register the dogs.
Now, I'm assuming, sorry,
You're fine.
I'm assuming that this is based on old records,
I'm sorry, this is based on current year. Yep.
and, if a dog passes, you don't necessarily know, and you'll
And-
find that out when,
Well, sometimes we find that out the hard way, yes, in tears.
That was my, for,
But these are folks who have previously had registered
Or
dogs
have-
in town and still are residents of town, and so that's how this list was compiled?
Yes, and also if, by chance we get rabies vaccinations sent over to us, because the vet, that's what they do, that's what they're required to do, to let us know. So,
so that might be an indication that someone with a new dog hasn't yet registered. But these might be beginning of life dogs, puppies that have not yet been registered, or they may
Correct.
be end of life where dogs have passed and have not updated the clerk onto that.
So these folks will all get a letter, or how does that work?
It can be sent by mail or it can be delivered by the police department. I'm not sure what the
What they typically
process
do.
is in the
I think last year we sent out letters.
letters. Okay.
Yep.
Some towns actually deliver, and when you have an officer that comes to your house with money or your dog or, you know, here's my kid.
I would recommend we start with letters.
Yeah.
Well, it's up to them how they do it.
There's
It's
a
their process.
fairly large number here, that we're not hand delivering this many.
Right. That's my thought as well.
All right. Do you need any sort of motion on this, or is this just an FYI?
I do need signatures of the board. It's just like a warrant.
Oh, okay.
So just
Speaking of that, I
signing
never
it
passed
is
these around.
appropriate.
Someone want to make a motion on signing the warrant for unlicensed dogs?
I'll make a motion that we all sign the warrant for unlicensed dogs.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Next up, we received a letter regarding my remarks at Memorial Day from a Holderness resident. We have, as a board, a consistent history of reading the letters we receive, whether positive or negative. So I will read this official letter we received. So this is to Plymouth, New Hampshire Select Board from Edward Swanson, Holderness, New Hampshire, subject Memorial Day 2025 with a date of May 29th, 2025. So this happened right after Memorial Day, but I was out, and so Scott held this until I was back. For the last 27 years, we've been attending the Memorial Day Parade in Plymouth. Each year, we've heard positive and patriotic messages honoring those who've sacrificed their lives for our country. Many present suffered loss of friends, neighbors, and relatives, including a Gold Star mother. We come together to share in their grief and show support for the sacrifices made, expecting to hear a non-political, uplifting speech. This year, however, after about a minute of appropriate sentiment, Selectman Terrell made the statement that he was going to say something risky. He then went on a social, political, personal crusade in front of a captive audience, alluding to the evil policies regarding LGBT, race, and immigration. His hostility and arrogance was appalling! Exclamation point. Yes, one has freedom of First Amendment freedom of speech, but any honorable person would know the proper venue to spew one's grievances. Memorial Day is a most solemn occasion to mourn and honor our heroes. Shame on Selectman Terrell for hijacking this day. In the future, we urge the Select Board to take action to ensure that solemn public occasions, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, etc., are not marred by disgraceful speech. Edward Swanson. I wanted an opportunity to read that because that is my opinion and policy of this board is when we receive letters, we should read them, even when we don't agree. I wanted to directly address this though, because I did make remarks at Memorial Day that I feel were respectful to veterans who I deeply appreciate at Memorial Day. In particular, veterans who've lost their lives. And as Mr. Swanson noted, I did speak to that to start the call or start the day. I then made some comments which I don't think are as partisan as what is suggested here. I noted that I felt that people need to speak even when it seems hard. And even when it's not safe or simple. I don't think I actually said risky, and I reviewed my my things. I did say, but sometimes the safety of fiction gives us the language we need to name real world truths that feel too raw, too risky to say outright. So I certainly implied that what I was going to say was risky. I then quoted Star Wars, which feels like a fairly safe place, and that was why I was trying to find a middle. But the line that I quote, I said that line had stayed with me because truth, like freedom, requires vigilance, and silence, even polite silence, can be its undoing. So I'm here again, hopefully drawing attention to some words that I shared at Memorial Day that I don't believe should be partisan. I truly believe that the comments that I made speak towards the values of the country we live in and what our veterans have fought for, not to be exclusive or to make anybody feel bad about who they are, honestly. So I'm gonna read just a quick excerpt because I do continue to stand by the words I said. I said, in recent years, the ideals of liberty and justice for all have been tested. LGBTQ Americans, immigrants, people of color, many are being told in policy, in rhetoric, in law, that those ideals don't fully apply to them. And I think that's the part that sets some people off in particular. But I want to draw attention to the fact that we start this meeting, we start every select board meeting by standing up here and pledging allegiance to this flag that sits behind us. And part of that, and I hope everybody remembers these words when we read them, is liberty and justice for all. And if making a comment about liberty and justice for all at a Memorial Day celebration is partisan or insulting, I just encourage people to listen to my words and not hear LGBTQ and immediately jump to some point of attack, because that was not my intent. My intent was for everyone to stop and think about ideals and the particular things that I think we should be thinking about, the inclusiveness, the freedoms that we literally go to war for and have people in our communities and in our society die for. And I feel pretty strongly about honoring our fallen. I will apologize to Mr. Swanson that he felt that the words that I stated were arrogant or appalling or hostile in any way. But that was not my intent. My intent was inclusiveness and to draw attention to the ideals that I think make this country great. And that was what I wanted to say. The only other comment I wanted to make is there is the potential that the particular way I had to read that speech might have felt slightly more arrogant than it might have felt through a microphone. If anybody recalls, that day we had no microphone, and so I did have to project my words in a way that were maybe louder and more verbally bombastic, but that was physical projection of audio and not arrogance at work. So anyway, those are my comments. Happy to hear the board's comments or non-comments on this topic, and that's...
I thought your comments were on target for what Memorial Day does stand for. I certainly didn't find it partisan. I don't think it was out of line in anything that we as a country stand for, as you know just spoke of. It is funny that you do bring up the boominess and
the necessity of the day.
Yes, that
yeah.
happens quite. So I don't know if that was what I don't. My guess is that you're right. It did add to something, but that's out of everybody's control. Yeah.
I personally didn't take any and perceive any hostility or arrogance, but yeah, that was just me.
I want to concur with our fellow members. I think it was a well-done speech and was on point for what should we be looking at for that day.
I will admit I did not hear the speech. I appreciate that you were willing to give it on behalf of the select board and the town. I think it's unfortunate that the complaint conflates partisanism with awareness of social issues. I think there has been, in recent years, there has been kind of a attempted takeover of patriotism in a partisan manner, and I don't think it's appropriate. I think that all Americans should be represented, and speaking on behalf of all Americans in the way that you did seems perfectly appropriate to me.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone? Good?
We're good?
We're good.
All right. That will take us to the signature file review.
I only have a few items tonight. The first item is going to be a PA 28. It's an inventory of taxable property. Basically, the town of Plymouth does not use the PA 28 form, and we're required to let New Hampshire Department of Revenue know that. So I just need signatures on that. The next item is an intent to cut. This is on Reservoir Road. Out of a 6-acre lot, they're looking to cut 4.5 acres of land. The next two items are two solar exemptions that, maybe three, sorry. Solar exemptions that came in after the board authorized Emily to sign that full package that we had a couple weeks ago. These are additional ones that have come in that I require your signature. And there is 1, 2, 3 additional. Several places to sign on each.
Oh, boy. Are there multiples on each? I only see one sticky.
Well, maybe, okay, so one stick is, that's all you need then.
Is that the end of it?
That's it?
I want to go back just briefly to the purchase order for KV Partners. It looks like there was an extra signature line that's only got one person. Is this supposed to be?
Scott will sign that.
That's going to be Scott's signature.
Yeah, he'll sign once you guys approve.
Want to make sure that wasn't a, like, make sure
Was
the
that the
chair
back
gets off.
page
Or,
one?
yeah,
Yeah.
Representative
That one's for Scott.
I didn't sign that for.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Is this one done?
No, I don't think so.
Keep going.
I got lost on that other one.
How you doing, Graham? Sure.
Got all sorts of notes here.
I know, he's
Sure,
got
we'll
more
have a long
notes than I do.
conversation tomorrow. Or Wednesday.
I'm going to excuse myself for.
And that's good.
Mhm.
Place.
Graham said he's been going home and educating his parents on local government.
Are they tuned in or?
I don't know. They were tuned in last week.
Ah.
They can always watch you on YouTube too, and then they
There you
can
go. Right.
fast forward. Yeah.
There
Any
you go.
questions about
Call
anything
out
that's
to
happened
us.
so far? Anything that was?
A lot, but I think it'd take too much time.
Okay.
So I was going to go over it with Scott.
All right. Nothing you want to bring up before. Okay.
No.
Always happy to have you participate as well. If you're here,
Yeah.
you're part of it.
7/14/25.
Well, in the absence of Phil, Jason, do you want to give a Village Water and Sewer Commission update?
Sure. Scott has talked about some of them that were talked about. So we've got a notification on Highland Street project loan to include Emerson and Russell Street for drinking water infrastructure, coming out of ARPA funds. The Foster Street well is looking for working on the replacement. It's going to be about $500,000 for the loan for that. They're sending out the solar project for a full design contract, so they'll be looking to move that forward. And they're looking for a loan application for the solar project, about $500,000 with 50% forgiveness and additional 20% loan forgiveness. And that is looking to, cut some of the costs for the, electricity costs at sewer and water. Currently spending about $4,000 a month on treatment, on power for the treatment. So looking to get down on that cost with that new solar installation. They're awarding work on Highland and Emerson to Grenice and Sons, and again, working with the town on that project. They're going to be upgrading the pipes for that. The Holder Well project is in its final change order, and should be finishing around the end of September. Looking at the notes here, they voted to accept an easement for Pump Station 4. Their auditor report was completed, and everything came back in the clear for their testing and whatnot. And
Sounds like.
sorry, auditor report.
You missed some
their
thunder here
numbers.
that briefly interrupted you.
Oh, I apologize. The auditor report came back fine for their numbers, and then they had a consumer confidence report on water quality, and the water is within compliance. And Pump Station 4, the emergency bypass pumps were installed. They're looking about $20,000 in repairs, and so all said and done, they're looking about $78,000 total for that failure. They're going to be replacing manhole covers on Old Ward Bridge Road, going on with that project, and that is about all the important stuff.
Those are some pretty big projects that they're taking on. Are they also anticipating significant rate increases to go along with those?
Not that I'm aware of. A lot of the loans have a lot of forgiveness forgiveness with them. So as far as I know, they did not mention any increase in rates, but I will bring that up at the next meeting.
One thing they did mention at their annual meeting is a 5% increase over each year over the next 5 years. Based on projects that have to
Yeah.
be completed that aren't funded by grants or opera funds.
Gotcha.
Which may
Thank
not
you,
be-
Scott.
That may not be that far off of inflation, as we know.
Okay, any questions for Jason? Other questions for Jason?
No.
Planning board, Phil?
Yes, the planning board met on June 19th. They did not meet on July 3rd, as it was anticipated. The June 19th meeting is normally a public hearing. There were no hearings, so we moved forward discussion, or we moved our working meeting forward to the 19th and did not meet on July 3rd. So on the 19th, which would have been a hearing, during our working meeting, we discussed, we met with Frank McLean, who presented to the planning board plans for a right-of-way easement across property at the top of Boulder Point that would provide emergency access to a potential future development. This was a non-binding discussion, but just awareness for the planning board. And then the other task at hand was discussion of goals for the upcoming year, and the first two items that we talked about was revisiting the Tenny Mountain Overlay District and the Fairgrounds Road Overlay District, which were both proposals from past years. They were both top of the list for the planning board when we had discussed goals for the year. A good amount of time was spent revisiting the changes to the Tenny Mountain Overlay District that had been discussed at our last public hearing, or second to last public hearing on that, prior to the that going forth for discussion. But we were able to kind of revisit some of those and discuss some of the ins and outs of that. But the goal is still, I believe there's strong consensus that we want to keep working on that, with the goal of putting it forth to voters town meeting for the coming year. Similarly, the Fairgrounds Road Overlay District, which is the goal of the Fairgrounds Road Overlay District in general, is to allow property developers, at least on the eastern portion of Fairgrounds Road where there's water and sewer, to either use the underlying zoning or to use a version of what the single-family residential zone allows, where you can pick either single-family zoning allowed by the overlay, or you can use the underlying agricultural zoning as it currently exists. And with the goal of, that has been identified in the master plan as a potential area for future growth, and we feel that this is the best way to accommodate that without negatively affecting the existing uses in that zone. So that is all we had for the planning board meeting of the 19th.
All right. Any questions for Phil regarding planning board? Sounds good. Ted, schools.
School district, they are on hiatus until their August meetings, and I don't remember the dates offhand, but I'll have those for our next meeting at the end of the month.
Sounds good. Conservation.
Conservation Commission meets tomorrow at 7 p.m. right here. There's been no meeting since our last discussion.
All right. CIP has their first scheduled
We
meeting
have a meeting Thursday morning at 9:30.
Thursday morning.
You're at town hall.
Thursday morning. And this is when I double check. I'm 90% sure that's in my calendar. Just make sure. Yep, 9:30. LRPC, we don't have anybody. Jason, you haven't been to anything LRPC related, correct?
That is correct.
Parks and Rec.
We meet sometime in August, although I'm not sure. We haven't met for a few months, obviously.
Okay. Energy Commission.
Bill?
Phil?
That would be me. We met on the 10th. That was a fairly brief meeting. We discussed about, we asked for an update on involvement with the safety complex, building committee, and discussed some potential input that we could offer to that group through Maggie Mumford, who will be sharing that. We discussed potential paths forward for updating building audit information, where the safety complex is proposing to replace the fire and police. We're not focusing on those buildings, but discussed, next best candidates for focusing energy on within town. And I think the consensus is this building is probably the best opportunity. We discussed paths forward. We had emailed with Scott about contacting New Hampshire Electric Cooperative, as there is funding available for free audits for municipal buildings through New Hampshire Saves programs. And there's also a substantial amount of rebate money available even for, so municipalities are eligible for rebates on
weatherization of municipal buildings, even if it saves fossil fuel, whereas commercial buildings are only eligible for electric saving projects. So just, being that this is a fossil fuel heated building, there's potential that we could receive some incentives on insulating and air sealing this building. And even if we don't go through them, it's a good first place to start. So that was the outcome of that. There was discussion of recently passed legislation that affects CPACE, which is would have to be adopted by the town if the town wanted to allow for CPACE districts. I believe the town would have to vote to do that, but CPACE.
What is CPACE?
CPACE is commercial property assessed. I forget how it works. You can opt into it, but it's basically a way that you can finance improvements to commercial properties as a lien on the property. So the town's actually getting the position of collecting it as a tax lien. If you wanted to do $30,000 worth of energy efficiency work at your ice cream shop, you could do that work and attach it as a lien to the property. And if you sold the property in 5 years and there's still 25 years of payments on that, the next buyer would basically continue paying those as they would still be reaping the benefits of the work that you did. So that's kind of the big picture idea, but the town would have to opt into it if we want to do that. I'm not sure that we're not sure how we feel about that.
Right. Not sure a buyer would.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, there are downsides to it.
Right.
But I mean, I think the big picture goal of CPACE is that for a business that doesn't have, a long-term vision, that might still want to make investments in a property, it's a way to kind of recoup those costs. Or they're not all borne by the current owner. If it's a project with a 20-year lifespan, you can stretch the cost out over 20 years. But yeah, it does. I mean, you do have to think about saleability of that property down the road.
Who funds those properties in advance, those projects?
I think it actually, I'd have to look, I forget how that works, but yeah, the money comes from somewhere, right?
That's right.
And it comes back to the town. I forget how that works. There's a mechanism that it relies on, but I'm not sure where it comes from.
Okay.
There may be a grant pool, I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then there was discussion of the CIP committee, and I think Maggie said she wasn't going to be able, she had received an invitation but wasn't going to be able to attend. I'm not sure that, there was discussion of involvement. I'm not sure that, from my perspective, I'm not sure that there has to be an Energy Commission representative on the CIP committee. But I tried to advocate that our town manager is very good about seeking input from all the boards and departments, and that representation on the committee isn't necessarily required. But I think there was some discussion that the first iteration didn't include some investments, didn't include the solar array, which could have been on the CIP plan. Even though it seems like the first year, I think everyone's learned.
I actually think the solar array was on the CIP plan.
I think it was added last minute the first year if we did, but the long and the short of it is that we want to make sure that capital projects like investments in renewable energy should be part of the CIP.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and then there was brief discussion of if we want to look at another solar project, what's next best candidate, and there was general discussion that anything we can do to offset behind the meter loads would be important, and the transfer station came up as a good candidate because the generation or the electric bills at the library are fairly high, the electric bills at the transfer station are fairly high. The transfer station, actually, you could site an array on the closed landfill that would feed the loads there before having to be output to the grid. So
I thought they had previously evaluated that particular site to not be
They did.
large
I
enough
I
to
think
be.
they looked at the buildings and said it was bad.
No,
No,
it
we
was, there was
we
definitely looking at
walked-
the,
Really? The
We
closed
walked that
landfill?
closed landfill, and
Really?
at least my understanding was at the time they determined that it was too small of a piece.
Maybe for a town-wide array,
Yeah,
but
that could be it.
maybe not for an array size to meet the needs of the transfer station.
Because they quickly pivoted to clearing some land that's sort of further up the hill from,
Yeah.
and
I
that
don't-
was
I think if you're
costly in terms of the
looking
site
at
work.
just an array size to meet the loads of the landfill of the transfer station. I mean, there are a lot of electric loads
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
I still think it would be pretty easy to site an array there that could offset a good chunk of those loads. But in my opinion, anytime you size an array larger than the loads, basically you're giving up 50% of the value of electricity when you export it to the grid. Anything that's of that size. So, sizing an array to meet the load there, where you're offsetting 100% of the electric cost, makes a little bit more sense. But anytime you export anything on that scale, you're on a commercial account like that, on a big array, you're basically giving up 50% of the retail value of the electricity when you export it and then buy it back at full retail later. So, that was the gist of the discussion for the last Energy Commission meeting.
okay.
Happy to take questions if anyone has one.
PSU negotiations. We all witnessed the latest on that. Oh, I skipped advisory budget committee.
We
Scheduled to
approved
meet
the
in-
schedule, last meeting.
I feel like
Um,
October,
Yeah.
something like that, right?
question regarding the PSU negotiations, though, when we get to that.
We're at that.
Should it be on the list if we're going to be working with the university right here? In this meeting?
Doesn't need to be, I mean.
Well, because a lot of times it's like if it's
It ends
just,
up being just here, yeah.
it's
We've
just
been doing it here.
yeah, it's redundant to have on the list. So maybe strike it.
Because we'll have it as an agenda item anyways.
Okay, yeah, and I'm happy to continue doing it here. It's only if we, I don't know if we need to go into a subcommittee to meet with them to work through it. I don't know. To some extent, that's going to depend on what they come back with.
Right. So maybe depending on that, we make that decision at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can
Chamber-
I follow up
please.
on one thing?
Yeah, please do.
When we were discussing C-pacing, there was a question about lending. The funding comes from private lenders. It's not a burden on the town, but I think the town just recollects it as a lien.
Thank you.
Chamber of Commerce.
Let's see, wasn't able to attend last week's meeting, so these are from June 12th. We went through the FY '26 budget. They will be increasing their reserves, which means they'll have to increase their numbers of members. Basically, it boils down to, at the end of the day, they're hoping FY '26 breaks even. That's what they're looking at through their budget. They have hired, although I'm not sure if, it should have been by now, they added on a new administrative assistant. Part-time, I think at 4 or 5 hours a week, just to lighten some of the load. There is something called the Super 603 Day. I don't know if Governor Sununu put that in place. It's kind of a once a year on 6/3 to highlight businesses. And the chamber's trying to work with the governor to highlight some businesses in their catchment area for next year. Talked about that. Created a new employee handbook, especially given the new employee coming on board. Let's see, they had a ribbon cutting for, I think it's Tractor, it's in Holderness, right on 175. Sorry, isn't that terrible? So they were able to get hopefully two new members joined, and as well as 2 prospective members.
Is it called Tractor Cafe?
Thank you. And I know Scott touched on the travel and tourism event that happened back in May, end of May. And they also went through and reviewed some of their long-term goals. And I think those are the highlights.
What's a tractor cafe?
So they're right on 175, what's it, going towards Holderness, left-hand side. Coffee shop, cafe.
Oh, I know.
Okay, nice.
It's at the
Yeah.
old farm, the old
Yeah.
Huckins farm.
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
know that's what it was called, but
Yes.
Used to be the Milton Huckins farm, just north of North Ashland Road.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
That's about it.
You have to drive your tractor up there, Zach.
I'd be happy to do it. I don't know as
No.
the chief would appreciate me having my tractor on the road, but I'd still be happy to drive it there.
We have a slow-moving vehicle.
All right.
Right.
It's a fair point, and it's only a slow-moving vehicle. Perlac, Bill, so nothing from that. Police and Fire Building Assessment Committee, has that met in the past?
We met
Recent?
a couple weeks ago, and we have guests here tonight to go into.
To discuss some more?
To discuss more.
Love it. Union negotiations.
We have our first meeting with the professional firefighters on August 18th at 10 a.m., I believe it is.
all right, I wasn't sure if that was confirmed or not.
It was confirmed with them, I believe.
Okay.
yes.
Can you say that again? When's it?
August 18th.
10 a.m.?
10 a.m.
All right, any other committee, anything? No? Good. Public comments? Seeing none.
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to go into non-public in accordance to RSA 91-A:3,
And we'll see you on Wednesday.
number 2,
Sound
letter
good?
D, real estate
Can you also add personnel to that?
and personnel.
Second.
Ted?
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Zach? Aye. Phil?
Aye.
Jason?